Greetings, Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles. So I thought today we'd change tack a bit and leave the blues rock thing for a bit and look at some stoner bands. Stoner, doom metal if you like. All these bands of course have to thank Black Sabbath for their sound and their direction. They were the originators of this kind of rock. Heavy guitars, upfront bass. Some bands like Sleep are almost like a sludge kind of feel, very slow, doomy sound. The first band we're going to check out is a band from Sweden today, and the band is called Spiritual Beggars. And what I like about them is they have that sort of Sabbath sound, but then they've also incorporated a Deep Purple sound to it with the Hammond B3 organ, which just gives it a different vibe. But they've had a few different singers, a couple of lineup changes, and they're almost like a side project for the main guy, Michael Amott, the guitarist. So Spiritual Beggars isn't always a going concern. You know, they'll do an album, do maybe a tour, then you won't hear from them for a while, then there'll be another couple of years later, they'll bring out another album. But all their albums are well worth checking out. So I'm going to go through the ones that I have, just tell you a bit about the band. They were formed in 1992. In Halmstad, in Sweden. Sweden, of course, a country that's produced some incredible rock bands. Sienna Root, Opeth. Of course, if you want to go all the way back, you can say ABBA. Great songwriters. Of course, Europe. Many, many others. Blues Pulls is another band that's from Sweden. So yeah, they've had some great bands. As I said, formed by Michael Amott on guitar. Distinctive red hair. He's also associated acts with him are Arch Enemy. They're more of a straight-ahead metal band with a female vocalist, I think, and Carcass, sort of death metal band. The current lineup is Michael Amott on guitars, Ludwig Witt on drums, although I don't think he's in the band anymore. I think he's moved on to somebody else. He might even be with Grand Magus, but that's a band I'll come to later. Charlie D'Angelo on bass, Per Weiberg on keyboards, who I don't think's in Spiritual Beggars anymore either, because I think he's a permanent member of another Swedish band called Kamchatka that I've heard mentioned before. I've actually done an episode on Kamchatka. And on vocals at the moment is Apollo Parathanasio. I think that's how you say his name. Papathanzio, something like that. Some of the former members, Christian Spice Schoenstrand on vocals and bass. He was the original singer when they were a three-piece. And then Jan J.B. Christofferson on vocals. He is the current singer in the band Grand Magus. Very different to Spiritual Beggars. Their most recent CD is Sunrise to Sundown from 2016. It's the one that I don't have on CD to show you. But I have all the other albums. The other offshoot band is Spice and the RJ Band, and they have two albums, The Will and Shave Your Fear from 2009. I have got the first one, which I'll show you a little just now. So let's crack on and check through what I have for you. Starting off all the way back, I think this was the early 90s, 1994, simply entitled Spiritual Beggars. Quite a cool cover. If you have a look on the inside, you can see the guys. Here's Michael Amott. He's the main guy in Spiritual Beggars. Distinctive guitar tone, some really nice riffs. And there you have Ludwig Witt on drums and the original singer Spice. The early stuff's a little more raw than what they would go on to do when they introduced the keyboards. So here it's very doomy, very sludgy. Yearly Dying is a cool track, Pelicus, The Space, but I think they were still finding their way with this first album, so it's not their top for me. So that was the first one. Then we got into one of the really cool albums. This is from 1996, Another Way to Shine. Oh, I love that cover. I think this is the same lineup. I'll just check inside. Spiritual Beggars, Spice, bass and vocals, organ, so he plays organ on here as well. Ludwig Witt, drums and percussion, and Michael Amott, all guitars. What standout tracks on here? Magic Spell, Blind Mountain, Misty Valley, Picking from the Box, Entering into Peace. Great stuff on here. Some of the tracks just start off quite melodic, then they just get into the riff and you're away. Definitely stuff that you got to play with the volume on at least 11. The third album they came up with was just called Mantra 3. See there. This one also came out in the 90s. I think this is 1998. And on this particular CD, there's a couple of bonus tracks. The band is playing Redwood Blues and Euphoria. And there's 12 other tracks. Super Bossa Nova, that's a sort of a strange, almost like an instrumental beginning. And you think, gee, what is this? It's almost jazzy. And then they just launch into Homage to the Betrayed. Monster Astronauts, Lack of Prozac. Really cool album. This is probably the best of the early stuff. There's a shot of the guys there sitting in the woods looking all doomy. So yeah, that was Mantra 3. Then we move on to probably one of my favorite spiritual beggars, the album called Ad Astra. Like that cover there. And let's just see who's in the band here. I think this was where they had a lineup change. If I can find the band. Spice lead vocals, Michael Armort, Ludwig Witt. Per Weiberg joined the band here on keyboards. On organ, Fender Rhodes and the Mellotron. Great Mellotron, I love that sound. Grand piano, harmonica and backing vocals. So you can see he added quite a bit to the band. There's quite a cool sort of poster fold out. So what tracks do we have on here that I can mention? Let's have a look. Left Brain Ambassadors, that's a great kickoff track. Wonderful World, that's probably my favorite track off here. The riff on there is amazing. Sedated, Angel of Betrayal is very good. Save Your Soul. This is a really, really strong album. I'll get you the cover. There we go. Spiritual Beggars, Ad Astra. Definitely one to check out. This one is a promo copy that I have. I don't have an actual proper jewel case copy. This came out in 2002. And this was On Fire. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first one to feature the singer JB. Street Fighting Saviors, Young Man, Old Soul, Killing Time. Excuse me. Fool's Gold, Black Feathers, Beneath the Skin. That is a raw track, like a really slow, amazing riff. Very Sabbath inspired. Dance of the Dragon King, Tall Tales. Excellent album, On Fire. Then we move on to one called Demons. And this is a bonus disc as well, which has got live in Japan, live outtakes from Shibuya, Tokyo, Japan, 2003. So this album came out in 2005. That's the inside cover with that sort of demon face there. See if there's anything else I can show you. There's quite a cool picture of the guys. So you've got Ludwig Witt on drums still, Michael Armort on guitars, JB on vocals. He would add a different dimension because Spice, the original singer, had a very raw voice, very rough. And he was a bit more refined, more of a traditional singer, if you like. Per Weiberg on keyboards and Scarly D'Angelo on bass. I think that was his first time with the band. So that was Demons, also a cool album. I love the keyboard work here because, as I mentioned before, it reminds me a bit of a heavier version of Deep Purple, if you like. Just adds a little bit of extra texture to the sound and gives you that kind of 70s feel as well. The next one to come around was Return to Zero, very much in the same line, same lineup, I think. Although I think this might have featured, yes, this is the first one to feature the singer Apollo Papanatasio. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Michael Amott still on guitar, Ludwig Wick, Per Weiberg on keyboards, and Charlie D'Angelo on bass. Very similar to the last one. Return to Zero, Spirit of the Wind is a good track. Coming Home, Concrete Horizon. Quite melodic, some of the tracks. They can get really heavy, but they mix it up so you get a bit of light and shade. Really cool album as well. And the last one that I have to show you is Earth Blues. And this was from 2012, I think, or 13. So you can see there's quite a gap between albums sometimes. It's because Michael Amott's busy with his other bands, Arch Enemy. I don't think Carcass is going anymore. Also a really cool album. And I think any one of these latter ones is worth checking out. And the other one that I mentioned that I don't have to show you, Sunrise to Sundown, also a very cool album. Still with the same singer, that is the third singer. Spice and the RJ Band, the two albums they've made. I have the first one called The Will. So this features Spice, the original singer from Spiritual Beggars. More of a rough sounding sort of singer. Not very subtle. There's a picture of the guys. I think that's Spice over there. And then I do have one DVD to show you of Spiritual Beggars. I think this is 2009 this came out, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Live Fire. Really cool band live. Not a lot of special effects, just the band doing their thing, which is what you want. And they really pulled it off. There's a guy called Roger Nilsson on bass here, so I think he was filling in. Per Weiberg on organ. Michael Armott guitars. This is still with JB on vocals. And Ludwig Witt on drums. Really cool DVD to watch if you can get hold of it. A lot of energy on stage. And yeah, these actually must be pretty loud, pretty loud live. If you want that sort of doomy stoner Sabbath sound, you need to crank those amps all the way up. So there we go, Spiritual Beggars, a band to check out. And if you're into the stoner scene, the doom metal if you like. Next time around, we're going to have a look at an American band in a similar vein. Not going anymore, unfortunately, but they really produced some great albums. Released some great albums, I should say. And that'll be the band Trouble. Have yourselves a great week, guys. Please like and subscribe down below if you haven't yet. Any comments, more than welcome. Take it easy. Have a good one. Cheers.